What do you do when the truth you've buried for years is suddenly thrust into the light, threatening to unravel everything you've built? I sat at the family dinner table, the clink of silverware and soft laughter filling the air, unaware that tonight would change everything. The dining room was warm, the chandelier casting a golden glow over the faces of my husband, Mark, his parents, and his sister, Claramy's sister-in-law, whose sharp eyes always seemed to see too much. I'd always felt her gaze linger on me, but tonight, it carried a weight I couldn't place. The evening began like any other family gathering. Mark's mother, Ellen, had outdone herself with a spread of roasted lamb, garlic mashed potatoes, and her famous apple pie. We were celebrating Mark's promotion, a milestone that felt like a shared victory after years of late nights and sacrifices. I smiled, passing the gravy, my heart full of pride for him. Claire, though, was quieter than usual, her fork tracing patterns in her food. I caught her glancing at me, her lips pressed into a thin line. Something was off, but I brushed it aside. Family dinners were supposed to be safe, weren't they? As dessert was served, Claire stood, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. She tapped her wine glass with a spoon, the sharp ting cutting through the chatter. All eyes turned to her. My stomach tightened as she locked her gaze on me, her finger pointing like an arrow. "Lila," she said, her voice steady but laced with something dark. "There's something we need to talk about." The room went silent, the air thick with anticipation. Mark's hand froze on his glass. Ellen's smile faltered. I felt my pulse quicken, a cold sweat prickling my skin. Claire's words came like a tidal wave. "5 years ago, before you and Mark were married, I saw you at the hotel downtown with another man." The accusation hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. My heart stopped. The memory of that night of fleeting, reckless moment I'd buried deep came rushing back. I'd been young, unsure, grappling with doubts about committing to Mark. It was one mistake, one night, and I'd sworn it would never define me. But Claire knew. She'd known all along. Mark's face drained of color. "Lila, is this true?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I opened my mouth, but no words came. The truth was a jagged edge, cutting me from the inside. Claire wasn't done. "I kept quiet because I thought you'd changed," she said, her eyes narrowing. "But I saw you last month, Lila. Same hotel, same man." The room spun. That part wasn't true. I hadn't been unfaithful since that one mistake. But the lie felt as damning as the truth, and Claire's conviction made it impossible to argue. Ellen gasped, her hand clutching her napkin. Mark's father, George, stared at his plate, unwilling to meet my eyes. I wanted to scream, to deny it, but the weight of that first betrayal held me down. "Mark," I managed, my voice trembling. "I made a mistake before we were married. I was scared, unsure, but I haven't seen him since. I swear." My words sounded hollow, even to me. Claire's second accusation had poisoned the room, and doubt clouded Mark's face. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mark's voice cracked, his pain raw. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Claire sat back down, her expression unreadable, as if she'd unburdened herself and left the wreckage for me to sort through. The dinner table, once a place of warmth, felt like a battlefield. I wanted to lash out at Claire, to demand why she'd chosen this moment to expose me, but I saw the hurt in her eyes too. She thought she was protecting her brother. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Mark left the table, retreating to the porch. I followed, my heart pounding. "I love you," I said, tears streaming down my face. "I was young and stupid, but I chose you. I've always chosen you." He didn't look at me, his gaze fixed on the stars. "I need time," he said, his voice distant. I nodded, my chest aching, and returned to the house, where Claire waited. "Why now?" I asked her, my voice low. She sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I thought you were still lying to him. I saw someone who looked like you at that hotel. I was wrong about that, but not about before." Her honesty disarmed me. She wasn't cruel, she was scared for Mark, just as I was scared of losing him. Days turned into weeks. Mark and I talked, cried, and fought. I bared my soul, owning my past mistake while pleading for his trust. Slowly, he began to believe me, but the scar remained. Claire apologized, her own guilt heavy, and we found a fragile peace. The experience taught me something profound. Truth, even when painful, can be a gift. It forced Mark and me to face our vulnerabilities, to rebuild stronger. And in that rebuilding, I learned that love isn't about perfection, it's about choosing each other, flaws and all, every single day.